Holly Rosewood listeners, today I have Holly Coulliette. She is the founder of Leadership and Life Skills. Thank you, Holly, for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Benny. It's great to be with everybody.
Yeah, you know what? I something I always ask whenever I have coaches on the platform, I always like to ask, what separates you from other coaches?
Well, it's the real experience really that does this for me. My foundation with training, starting to train with the sprint triathlons to really overcome a painful time, and that's Crohn's disease, and I battle it every day. So in the training with this, I put forth and brought back leadership and life skills, honestly, to myself. And currently, I've been a leader for 10 to 12 years in an administrative role, but I rediscovered my self-confidence. I am embracing mistakes now where, I probably didn't in the past. Perfectionism, I really learned how to battle it through the training of the sprint triathlons. And really, this is a passion to give back to the younger generation. And I have a 16-year-old daughter at home, and the counselors, we have a 400 and 500 to 1 ratio in the high schools. And it just really, they need to hear that they are enough to believe in themselves, because negativity can hit them from all angles these days. And that is really, it's my passion. And what sets me apart is I have lived this, I've experienced it. And I wish my 49-year-old self could have told my 19-year-old, some items that I've learned here in the past 4 years for sure.
So 400 to 1, and that's kind of the student to counselor ratio.
So in some high schools, yes, it is essentially.
Well, how often are the students actually using the counselors?
Well, pretty much I can talk to them today, and if they have issues or if they have problems. Believe me, there are many career fairs, there's career and technical education counselors there to talk to them about various stuff. All the information is given. The counselors are doing what they can. It's just working with these high schoolers one-to-one and actually just listening. I've talked to 2 to 3, and it's just really bringing them in. And I spend 45 minutes with them, and they're like, I never knew this, or, they just need encouragement. And again, they're doing all they can do. And this is really just another piece of me. I never was an on the field coach. I'm a former national softball champion, but this is my way of actually giving back to the girls so they can even explore future career opportunities and continue just to move forward. They may be stalemated, whatever sport they're in, they may not be encouraged anymore. Sometimes it's all they need is just that encouragement to continue and to conquer and keep going.
How do you get paid? How does your business make money?
Well, I offer one-to-one coaching and group coaching services.
To the students?
No, well, as far as if the parents are going to be agree for, for the student to be coached by me. I just launched in June, and then there's an online course that's available.
Yeah.
So, that's essentially the business right now. And I do have a book that's very close to being released. And it's just really, getting the word out, and just know that, I am a coach that can come alongside them.
Now, being like a kind of life coach and guiding the younger generation, I guess, to the next level, how many of them actually, because you hear it so many times, right, where the parents are paying or pushing their kids into something maybe they don't want to do. So how many of your kids that you kind of come across are actually excited to hear your guidance and be molded by you?
Well, I've had one, and really the parent gave me feedback afterwards. And what they actually said was, they needed to hear about the career opportunities, and they needed to hear, what was offered and the difference between possibly a state college and a university. But what they took away was, and I can hold it up right here. It was a bracelet. and it says, conquer your future. But what it was is that one, she was defeated just because, she didn't have the math skills that she thought she should. My own daughter feels the same way. But after I told her, no, this is doable. You just need to believe in yourself. And the parent, after that conversation, she texted me and she said, look, that was the takeaway here. She said, and she was so excited about it. And and she had trouble with her sport that she was in. She was going through some real negativity there. And she just said it was just great timing. And that's what she needed to hear.
Have you worked with adults before this? As a
not for this specifically, but in my sprint triathlon training and Crohn's disease, being interviewed by a sports reporter on TV, and anybody that I can come across, and they stop and listen, because this is real, and it doesn't just have to be, training for sprint triathlons is really extraordinary. But the ordinary piece of this is that all of us have life trials. I mean, whether it's, a divorce, it's any type of, illness that we can go through. And it's like, how did I rediscover this? How did I do it? I just set small little goals all the way through it. But honestly, in the training, I didn't see this. I did not see this till actually I had ran, 2 of the sprint triathlons to know that, wait a minute, I just set small achievable goals. And again, the race was my finish line. But for example, what if you're just trying to, make a recipe? What if you're trying to write a journal that you've been wanting to for, 10 years? It's like, those are different finish lines. We just have to continue to go, but we got to set, what I work with the girls with is a vision, put together a plan, and then you'll see the results if you stick with it. Now, most of them say, well, what if this doesn't get done? Or what if I plan this on a Monday and, Tuesday and my schedule's all crazy? It's okay. It's okay. Because again, perfectionism, yes, strive to be your best. But if you set and write down that goal, that's actually going to make you look at it and to do it. Like I said, my daughter says, I have to tell myself every day, I'm driven. It will happen. I can do this. And she calls it manifesting, because she said if she doesn't manifest her thoughts, then, there's negativity from everywhere. I mean, they could turn around each minute and they're just bombarded with it.
Well, let's rewind. I mean, this mindset, this idea of kind of one step in front of the other, has that been something that you've carried along since you've been a young Holly?
Yes, it is. But young Holly would have actually, and I wrote in a journal, even after a national championship, I found it not long ago and I had quotes. I hated to learn from mistakes. That needs to change, because you need to embrace it and learn to grow from it. And I will tell you, when I, going through the Crohn's, the very first off, I didn't realize how much, honestly, depression I was in. I was looking at a Ensure milk chocolate bottle, and what is my next step? Am I even going to get out of bed and continue to go to work? I had no clue. And what broke me was I have no idea where sprint triathlons came from. Yes, I'm an athlete, but nobody in my family runs triathlons. And I think it was really the challenge to put all the 3 together. But when I jumped in the pool the very first time, I guess thought miraculously I was going to have this wonderful training session. Well, I didn't realize how bad my muscles were wasted, and I could only go half length of the pool. So then I had to pause and say, okay, how am I going to do this? So I continued to set, all right, let me go 1 lap. Let's go 2. Let's go 3. Then when I made 4 laps, I'm like, okay, really. And that I know it. That was when I became unstoppable. And I can tell you, I have more confidence now, honestly, in my life than I have for a long time. And so here we are.
What I mean, going back to that, I mean, what was the driving force to push you to want to go from 1 lap, 2 lap, 3 lap to 4 laps?
I had a disease that was conquering me,
Mm.
and I made my mind up and I said, okay, no more. But then when I, finished the training, looked at it, like, wait a minute. This is definitely leadership and life skills here. And this is what my older self wish I could have told younger Holly. I still, have to tell myself, but again, like I said, I have a lot more confidence now than I ever have. And, there's a lot of things I could tell younger Holly.
Well, what are some of those things that you're talking about with Holly? It's
Oh,
getting out there.
quit being so critical on yourself, quit over analyzing and overthinking. And you're not going to get a yes every single time, so, and it is so true that sometimes if you get a no, whatever it is, something you're going after, and I've got them there too, but it's a redirection. It truly is a redirection. And it's just hard to take at those times. But just remember, whatever effort that you put into it, that's what people see, and that's what you really need to keep is, we're not going to win every single item, but it's like these finish lines. Finish lines are different to me than they used to be. Like this finish line for the sprint, it wasn't about the win. It was about crossing that finish line. And even coming into the run, I had a brief thought of, okay, am I really enough? Do I have enough to finish this? And, so you had to battle those thoughts. Anybody that has run these races or played sports, a lot of it is mental. So you have to overcome that.
When did you know your fitness journey was going to be over?
As far as the triathlon,
Yeah, triathlons.
well, I'm still doing some of them, but
Okay.
and I did one in July. I will tell you that yes, some of this is going to be curtailed just because of the fact of the matter is the body can't take the pound of the run, too much anymore. But I will definitely find ways to, the swimming bike is going to stay, and
Mm.
for as long as I can do it, I don't see that going away at all. Just because I don't want to admit it, but age does take a toll, but it
What
doesn't matter anymore, really.
doing triathlons, is there any kind of like when coming from schooling, from college, all that kind of stuff? I mean, was there a pathway to make a living just out of basically being a professional athlete and triathlons and things like that, like getting sponsors, or was that ever a thought?
No, actually, and I didn't even have a triathlon thought in my brain until, let's say, 2 years ago.
Oh
No,
wow, okay, okay.
yeah, when I was actually playing softball in college and I won the national championship. No, at that time the pro league was not there, so there was no option for us to continue to go. And I will say that it was because of my college coach for sure that she kept me on the right path. Just because, well, you tell younger Holly used to have an attitude about some items, but I was taking a physics and chemistry class and it had a lab and that had me miss some softball practices. And then my coach said, yeah, you're going to class. She said, because you're not going to make a living with softball. I mean, at that time, it's just, there wasn't pros and, all that. And essentially at this time, it was slow pitch too.
So softball, college, what happens after that? I mean, the triathlon wasn't there yet. I mean, you still are doing sports on the side. How are you making a living?
Well, I originally was going after physical therapy. That didn't work out. Again, this is another, plan. You have to change your plans. Plan A may not work, go to plan B. So I became a respiratory therapist. And then I spent about 3 years in K-6 elementary teaching. And then I've been in higher education at a state college since 2007. And I've been in the workforce development department over the allied health programs and, working with that primarily. But again, definitely 18 years of workforce development.
So in the workforce development, I mean, that's mostly steady paycheck, right? Where you know you're gonna get where you're gonna get the next paycheck for the most part.
Well, workforce development, what that means is that's just anybody is whatever career you're going after. You know, you have the associate in arts degree and you have associate in science, you have certificate levels, you have apprenticeships. So whatever you're taking, and that's going to, you know, put you out in the workforce, then yes, you know, if you go through the program, you take board exams, whatever it is, then you will
Well,
definitely get a job.
for yourself, I mean, it sounds like for most of your career, most of your working life, you've had that 9 to 5 job, or you've had something where you're getting a steady paycheck, and transitioning into being a coach for younger women. I mean, that any kind of scariness to it, or you are not going to have that steady paycheck, or it's going to be something that's more by case by case, or how much you put into it? I mean, is that something that crossed your mind or has crossed your mind in the past?
Well, you know, I'm seeing how all this works out. You know, right now I'm still continuing where I'm at.
Yeah.
And, you know, what is this going to, you know, look like in the future? I don't know, but I just know that it was a passion to form this company that I couldn't let go. And, you know, it, because it just came from the painful time. And I know I have a lot to give back to the high school female athletes. And again, even though I say the female athletes, it's not just that, it's, you know, high schoolers in general, you know, and I still can guide them along with many others. So,
Do you think there will be a point where you'll give up your job so you can basically expand your business?
you know, like I said, we'll see it, you know, at what point that may be.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, I really don't know that answer.
Is that a hope, or is that not even something you thought about? I mean, just deep down, I mean, has there been a moment where you're kind of just relaxing, going, "That's where I see myself in a couple of years"?
Well, you know, maybe not a couple, maybe it's 10. You know,
Okay.
I don't know yet. You know, maybe it's who knows what it is. But, you know, this, whether, you know, you want to call it a side hustle right now, you know, it, all of the in between, you know, I think those answers aren't there yet because, you know, I mean, there's a passion to still, you know, be in actually both places, truly.
What's been the biggest hurdle of starting building your business and starting your business?
Let's just say all the above. and, but really, it's just getting out there, getting known, you know, letting people know that you are passionate about this and that you actually are qualified to help, you know, because whoever, you know, is out there, it's like, okay, who do I believe these days? You know, who do I not? And I just, you know, want to, or for example, coming up, you know, impact speaker for Night of Hope for the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. And this is me putting myself outside of the box too, to be vulnerable and to tell my story. You know, how many of the Crohn's population personnel can I help? That is essentially my driving force right now, because just, you know, the current position I have, I'm just, you know, around this certain people and population. I want to take this broad. I want to go as wide as I can go, as, you know, nation as I can go, and to affect and impact as many people as I can.
When you said that, I mean, we talked about the kind of the struggles you're going through, and you said all the above. I mean, when you're going through the struggles and getting your name out there, do you have, I guess, a coach? Do you have a mentor? Do you have someone guiding yourself on that roadmap to kind of build that business?
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Danny Brassel. He's the one, he's been right beside me this whole way. He still is, you know, as far as, you know, we text each other back, even though our coaching sessions are through, we text each other back and forth. And, you know, he continues to stay with me, you know, until, you know, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. And you say, you know, what are the hard, honestly, is I mean, if you start talking Hootsuite and MailChimp and, you know, all this the web design and, you know, going all through that and trying to, you know, hook this domain to that domain and creating the online course. And well, honestly, in my world, creating the online course was, you know, that was really nothing to me, but it was actually, you know, linking it to the website. And then it's like, okay, well, what, you know, what social media should I use and how should I promote it? So that's really, I'm trying to figure all that out right now. And, you know, I'm just taking one step at a time. And, you know, the opportunities that come up, but the challenge is definitely there, you know, especially if you're an unknown and you're trying to build your email list. Those are the, you know, those are definitely the business challenges here at this point.
I know it's still only kind of a handful of clientele that you've had in this business. And have you worked with any of those people, younger people, to get their guidance on social media? I know for myself, I do some coaching with newer realtors that are a little bit younger than me, and they'll give me some ideas. Oh, this platform or that platform. I'm like, okay, I just got to take your advice on this. Does that ever happen to you, or has it?
For sure. And, you know, and well, the first thing my nephew actually told me about, because he just graduated college, and I sent him a, you know, a video. It was of a speech, and he just was like, Aunt Holly, this is good for you. He said, but you really need to take all this down to about a 3 or 4 minute video. He said, for us to even be able to pay attention.
Yeah.
And no, and that was huge. Now I'm not on TikTok yet or anything, but again, it was. And it's like, you know, just like being in a classroom. I mean, if you have a broad age range, you have to tailor your instruction, you know, to meet all of those needs. And that's essentially what I'm trying to find out here. It's like, okay, you know, am I getting more results or feedback on Instagram, you know, versus, you know, Facebook, you know, which population is going there? And definitely I'm listening to my kids too, you know, because they will tell me exactly. Well, they haven't told me as blunt as my nephew did, but they will, you know, they'll have their input here a little bit too.
I know we kind of brought it up a couple times already. And if we were talking in 5 years from now, where do you see yourself and your business going?
I mean, I want to see it go as wide as possible, you know, and as out as far as we can, you know, and currently, you know, these sessions are done on evenings and weekends. And, you know, that's really complementary to everybody's schedule. So it's with anything else new, you have to just look at the differences. You have to look at the strategies, you know, to move ahead. I want this story to go as far as we can. So what does that mean? I really don't know in the future. I have my ideas, but it's, you know, definitely those stages is key, whether or not they're physical or digital, you know, to get the word out. And that's really what I'm looking at here at this point.
I'm gonna finish off with this last question, Ollie. If you, and I know your younger self was very into sports, and so I would think I would know the answer, right? And if you were trying to sell yourself to your younger self of why they should listen to you on building their journey to their future, do you think you could have done it? And what would you had to say to actually gain their trust?
Well, I will say that I can help you improve on your self-confidence. I can help you create a plan that really allows you to embrace your mistakes, even though you may not understand that at the time. But it's, you know, okay, this has come. How do we move forward, you know, from that? Social media pitfalls are huge. I can talk to you, you know, about the do's and don'ts there, even, you know, a few mistakes I've made already. And really, it's around scholarship essays and talking about that too, because a lot of people leave out the local, you know, opportunities. There are so many scholarship dollars that go unclaimed. And then career opportunities, because there's a huge difference between what apprenticeships certificates, associate degrees. What does all that mean? I can tell you when I was going to physical therapy and trying to get into the school, I had no idea what accreditation meant. I had really no idea what I was looking at. Well, what school am I really going to apply to? How do I get my prerequisites together? How do I do this and softball or the sport at the same time if you're going to play the sport at the college level? So all those things there, and just to give more encouragement. And, I go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I mean, you talked about it before, how there's a lot of, I think, a lot of information out there. I don't know if that was your right words, but being now that there is so much information, so many, not to know who's the right person to listen to. I mean, if someone's listening, I mean, gonna work with you, how do they know you're the right fit for them and they should follow your advice?
Well, what we will do, to start out with, is we'll have a free consultation if they sign up on the website, which is www.leadershipandlifeskills.com. And if you put, contact information in there and on Calendly, we can schedule that 30-minute session. So if they just come with the questions there, and then, I will tell them, okay, this is the expectations, this is what we're going to work on and move forward. And this is how I can help you. And that's essentially how, we'll decide. And again, parents will be involved. And if the parent agrees, then we will go ahead and, move forward from there.
Is that the best platform if someone's looking to get maybe like more information, or is there any other platforms, like if people just want to, because sometimes people are scared to, I guess, reach out, but they want to kind of take in the information that you're offering. Maybe they're putting out through Instagram or other platforms. I mean, what platforms should they reach out to you, or at least follow you, to see if they vibe, I guess, with what you have to offer?
Right. And right now, Leadership and Life Skills. So I do have a YouTube channel out there. Again, just starting, there's only 2 to 3 things on there, but I have started live on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So if you do want to do that, you can message me in any of those ways, or, put it in the comments. You also can put in your contact information without having to subscribe to the website or, all of that. I do have a free download right now. That flyer, it's really just telling, what services are available. But I will say that if your wishes and options are not there, then I will be very willing to talk to you about it. But those are in my email is also on the web. So all the contact information is there. And the email is Coach Holly at leadershipandlifeskills.com. So you can just email me directly if you would like to do that.
And we'll have if you go in the show notes too, you'll see all the links for Holly. Thank you so much, Holly, for being on the Road Growth podcast today. I mean, for everyone listening, I mean, hopefully you got some great nuggets. If you're thinking about what's next, I mean, first off, there's no right way, it's your way. But you want as much information as possible to know what's even doable. I mean, there's so many things that, I mean, out there that I know I wouldn't know, even though I've walked some journeys. Being that Holly is, expert in the field, grants alone, imagine the money you can save. I mean, I think it would probably balance out with any kind of cost you might pay for coaching. So what does it hurt? One free consultation to see if she's a right fit for you. Thank you guys for listening. Please subscribe. Please share. Go in the show notes and go find Holly. Bye, everyone.